Are we allowed to drink a beer on?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I even had that conversation before with you. I feel like I need to go to beer.
This is our first, so bear with us. This is our first podcast.
We want your like fourth or fifth there, Jedi.
Oh, no, I'm not talking drinks. I'm just talking podcast.
Oh, okay.
I can smell them. It's definitely not the first.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
A full day, I'll tell you that right now.
This is Ashley.
Hey, Ashley. How are you?
Hey, Ashley.
I'm Jay.
You too.
Wayne.
That's Wayne.
Hi, Jay and Wayne. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you,
Have
too.
fun. Good luck, guys.
We got it.
Thanks, Ash.
Cool. All right. I'll get this rolling and
Get it rolling, Jay.
we'll talk. And you got, what are you drinking for beers, by the way?
DL smoothies.
Aha.
You can drink a dozen of those.
That's, yeah.
Not while you're hunting.
No.
We get told to hydrate, and there's some plenty of water in a Coors Light. So
That's how you hydrate, huh?
yeah.
Nice. All right. Dixie and Jedi, welcome to the Big Buck Registries Deer Hunting Podcast. How are you, my friends?
Very good. Thank you guys for having us.
Excellent.
We're psyched to have you. It's, I think we talked about this in the pre-show, but I just want to explain how we kind of came together through Discovery Plus. My wife and I started watching your show, fell in love with the show, just couldn't stop watching. It was local in Maine, and you guys were doing some of my favorite things, which was just working with your hands on wood and making things come back to life. I'm not a carpenter, but man, I love to work with wood. So, and anywhere from building tables to whatever. So I was glued to the television, and it was just a fascinating concept. I'm glad you guys are having success. I know you've had a lot of seasons, you've done a lot of episodes, and I can't wait to see more of it. So congratulations to keeping it together, because I know sometimes this stuff starts and it ends as soon as it starts, but you guys are going. So that's really good. And then I turned to Wayne. Wayne said he's a huge fan, and he said, I got to get on that. I want to talk to these guys.
Right in.
Yeah. And Wayne's
normal.
watched more shows than I have, but we're psyched to do that. And as I was watching the show, I identified, it's like, you know what, there's going to be a hunter in this crew, at least one. There's got to be. They're out of Maine, and they're working with their hands. There's got to be some kind of a connection. And then you guys started referencing frequently something about hunting, or Jedi's out hunting, or Dixie's out hunting, or he has a day off tomorrow, or he's going to go bird hunting. It's like, those are the guys. I need to talk to both of those guys. So here we are. Jen hooked us up, and
Here we are.
So,
Well, we appreciate it. All of that. That's, we have a lot of fun doing what we do, and we're pretty thankful.
Fun playing
cool.
too, don't you?
Yeah. What's that, Wayne?
That's a lot of fun playing hunting. I can tell.
Oh, absolutely.
Passion.
Right. So how did you guys get connected with the show? There's several characters on the show. But how does your crew all come together?
Well, so this is kind of just a micro of how it all went down. I worked for Ryan's father, a Maine DOT on Bridge, and I got done with Bridge, and Ryan had bought a house and was doing another construction. He was doing fencing. So he needed his house rehabbed. So I ended up working on his house that whole winter. Jared came home from Colorado that following spring, and we kind of all started working together.
Yeah.
And then Ryan and Ashley got married, and we started working with Chase. So it just kind of all morphed into all of us working together.
Okay.
Absolute shit luck. How it all really went. We've all known each other for forever. I mean, I was 13 when I knew of these guys, and
Ashley and Chase and I grew up together, and Ryan and I have been friends since we went to the University of Maine in Farmington, and it just kind of all happened.
Yeah. As far as the show, it was Chase had heard through the grapevine somewhere through one of his kids at school that there was this company looking to put out a show based in Maine. And, you know, a couple of Skype interviews with Dorsey Entertainment, and we shot a pilot episode.
Gotcha. All right. So I was wondering, like, when does that transition into a television show? You guys would have been doing this anyway, it sounds like.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was a business, and then there was an opportunity that Chase identified.
That's correct.
Yep.
Gotcha. Very nice.
And really, our first pilot episode was for the History Channel. It was specifically for history.
Yep.
And
9 Mile.
We went up into the Allagash, up into 9 Mile. I mean, way up there. And
Daquam, 9 Mile, Ashland. We were probably
a place called Camille's Cabin on the St. John River. Small little one-room cabin.
Trapper cabin
that this guy, Camille Bollier, he raised like 16 kids in this one-room cabin over the years.
It wasn't 16. It was like 3.
What?
It could have been 16. I can hardly wait to go to the stories.
I'm gonna have to check into that. If that's false information.
There was quite a few children that were raised up there.
There was, I believe there was a lot more than 3 that came out of that cabin. But there's some really interesting stuff on the guy. But yeah, we went up there and did that. We like snowmobiled in all the film crew and all our food
materials and everything.
2 or 3 weeks, and
that's crazy.
It was pretty wild.
A lot of work.
No kidding. So you're in Maine, and Maine is adjacent to New Hampshire. I'm familiar with the territory. I think Maine is very much like New Hampshire, just a much bigger version of it. And knowing that you guys are hunters, and I assume you're deer hunters, I had to just assume that, and I'm kind of going in blind here, but you look like deer hunters to me. Yeah, you can pick them out across the room when you're a deer hunter yourself. And I've also noticed that you're working on some deer camps as part of the show, and I don't know what makes it to the show, what doesn't, but as somebody that would enjoy Maine, or people that listen to our show, you know, Maine is scary to a lot of people that I've talked to. It's big woods. It's hard hunting. I asked Michael Waddell one day, I said, hey, why don't you come to Maine and shoot any of your videos? And he said point blank, it's too darn hard. I can't do that. There's no way we're going to get that done. I can't. But growing up in New Hampshire, hunting New Hampshire, I understand the woods of Maine because it's very similar. And we've talked to Hal Blood and some other legendary trackers on this show. So I want to get into your style of hunting and kind of get down that road, but I'd like to talk about camps for a little bit. You're obviously, the show's premise is that you're going to go fix up camps, and there are lots of deer hunting camps in Maine, from what I understand.
And even just hunting camps, you know,
just hunting camps. Yeah. So how many camps are there in Maine?
Oh my goodness.
I probably misquote again, but we're sitting on at one point like 1,200 camp submissions.
Wow.
You think about you look at the map of the state of Maine and look how much blue is on it. There's probably a camp or 2 on each body of water of blue, if not more. Right. I mean,
even those little ponds, tiny ponds, have a camp,
rivers
somewhere,
and creeks or something, you know.
What one of our episodes, I'm drawing a blank now, but
which one?
The 100-acre, right in the middle of the 800-acre reserve.
Oh, Gary Fuller.
Gary Fuller.
Yeah.
The Fuller episode. He had acquired 100 acres dead center of this 800-acre wilderness reserve.
He had deer tracks, right? 50 feet off his.
Wow.
It was.
That seems like a lucky draw. I mean, I don't know how you get 100 acres in the middle of an 800-acre preserve. That's crazy.
The population in central and central Maine, the deer population is it's huge. I mean, they gave bonuses this year, which I haven't seen you know, people would get a doe tag and then they would get a bonus tag on top of that. So the population has just been very healthy.
Okay.
Here in Central Maine.
Central Maine.
Northern's a whole different.
You go north of.
Yeah, those big snows from a few years ago really put a dent in those northern populations.
They definitely. I have a place in Rangeley, and we have a pretty big deer herd right in my neighborhood, and all the neighbors feed them. So
don't tell everybody.
No, well,
everybody hunting your neighborhood.
Yeah, no, you can't hunt my neighborhood because it's neighborhood, and it's actually a protected area. But it's pretty cool to see the herd come in every winter. When the snow's there, they're there. When the snow's gone, they're gone.
Yeah, the yards are pretty interesting, aren't they? Like, how do they know that it's time to yard up?
And the hierarchy of the yard is pretty funny to watch.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
They hoof kick each other. Right. Oh, they are so mean.
Well, I would think that if your primary goal in life was just to survive, I'd be pretty mean too, right? You know, we've in society today, it seems like, you know, we got it easy, but the deer who have to live in minus 20-degree temperatures and deep snow and starve themselves for months on end,
eating cedar.
If you think, you know, 30,000 foot view, you're like, how the heck can they biologically do what they do? Sometimes it just doesn't make sense. Not all of them make it, obviously, but the majority do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's astonishing what they are capable of.
Oh, they're a very resilient, and they, you know, the head's on a swivel. They're right there on the food chain. So they're very observant. They're very,
they're alert.
They're alert. That's a good,
you know.
Yeah.
They know when you turn and look at them.
Yeah.
I feel that the New Hampshire whitetail, the Maine whitetail, they do tend to be more alert than the other places that I've hunted.
Oh, their head is on a swivel the whole time.
Yeah. And you know, I'd say a lot has to do with less population of people in most of these areas.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the deer in the southern New Hampshire and down our way, they see people all the time and they're not as skittish. But you get up into the big woods, there's something moving that they don't like.
Yep.
They're not sticking around.
The big bucks they're getting big for a reason. It's because they're very elusive, and you know, they don't show themselves during, you know, any time of year. They're very elusive.
Right. We follow tracks all day long, but boy,
it's hard to get a look.
That step much ahead of you, you know.
Yeah. I'm sorry to get off on a tangent there. We'll definitely get back in the deer stuff. So of the cabins that are in Maine, there are lots of them, and there are way more than I ever thought that there would be. But it sounds like it's like part of the culture. It's something that it's in a lot of these camps to me are like very Maine. Like they're just pieced together with scrap wood and things
that's what it was,
right? Who knows where they are, which is great job security for you guys.
Right.
Always got patchwork to do somewhere.
Always patchwork. But it sounds like they're scattered all over the place. Oh. Some are on ponds, some are on the seacoast, but it sounds like there's even stuff in the middle of the woods that we would consider more hunting camps.
Oh, absolutely.
Buried deep in the woods. I mean, there's places that we probably wouldn't do for an episode because it's so far in.
Right.
You know,
right.
The production, you know, they like that allure of the water. Obviously, the scenery helps them do the episodes that, you know, that they do. But
right.
Gotcha.
I mean, for generations, a lot of families, that's the only time they'd use those hunting camps is during deer season. They'd go up, you know, 2-3 weeks, and it was their deer camp, and that's where they stayed for 2 or 3 weeks, and that's the only use it got.
Yeah.
So a lot of them have been in disrepair, and you know, when they're up there deer hunting and swilling beers afterwards, and they're not really caring about doing much work.
Sleep anywhere.
Sleep anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like classic. When I think of deer camp, it's kind of classic deer camp. Even like the Upers and Upper Peninsula, it's the same kind of thing. You go to deer camp with your buddies, you go hunting, sometimes you're successful with a kill, sometimes you're not, but you're always just excited to be there. And if you're knocking back a few brews along the way, that's just a good time.
It's not just about the kill or the hunt. It's about the camaraderie and the relationships that you establish with all your hunting buddies through the years.
Yeah.
You said it, Dixie. That's exactly what it's about. And that's what people don't understand. They don't understand the experience.
Yes. And then to shoot a deer is just a bonus it's the icing on the cake.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's just something to talk about. Little bragging rights if you actually are the guy that takes home the big buck.
Right. Yeah.
Right? But you're also the
back straps that night at camp, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's the memories they make, right? It's just a great and I've enjoyed going to deer camp. I'm generally like a soloist when it comes to hunting, but I also set time aside to go to deer camps or hunting camps with my friends, and those are just a blast. And I don't care if I kill a deer. I really don't.
It's like I said, just a bonus.
If I do, it's great. You know,
it's make sure you don't hunt more than 3 in your party.
Wayne's retired, so
yeah. We can actually have 6 in New Hampshire, so you guys can come over.
No way, really?
Yes. Yep.
Seriously?
Yeah.
And let's face it, when you get big woods, it's hard to hunt even 3.
No, I know. That's why you pray for snowfall and track and.
Yeah.
So from now on Sundays, guys, just go find 3 more of your friends and come on over to New Hampshire.
Live free or die.
Yeah. Who's that joining you down there?
This is my girl Susie,
Susan.
my bird dog.
Come on, Susan.
Susie, come here.
Come here, Susie. Susie, come here, honey. Come on.
No,
come on. Over here.
She's on a mission.
Come here. Come up here. Come on.
There's a lot going on out here. We've got
no problem.
We've got the woodshed, a little bar out back, a little restaurant out back of the building at headquarters, and she likes to hang out around there.
Nice.
I hear there was a lab in the mix too, a puppy.
I have 2. I have a black and a yellow. Ryan and Ashley have 2 blacks, and then
them on.
Chase.
I've seen them all on the TV, huh?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
We're a big lab family,
except for my English setter. She's
we all love Susie though. Come on, Susan.
When Susan decides to come back to the show, we'll pop her in. So as far as these camps are concerned, like if you're an outsider looking in, if you're wanting to get to the great woods of Maine at some point and own your own piece of heaven and own a camp, what are some of the things that, as you guys are the experts in trying to evaluate whether this is a good idea or a bad idea, what should somebody be looking for quality wise? And I guess it kind of is an inspection thing, but is there a line when you walk away, like if I want to buy a hunting camp in Maine, should I say this is not the one, or it doesn't matter?
Location.
It all depends on where it sits. Okay. You know, anything can be salvaged or rebuilt for the most part,
or torn down.
You know, but the piece of property is the most important. Okay. Where you are, where you want your access, what's around you for hunting lands,
and whether it has family nostalgia or whether it was part of your family, you want to keep it, you know what I mean? If your grandparents hunted there, or some people like to keep that, some people want to tear it down and start fresh. It just is a lot of it's personal preference.
But as far as function, like first things you want to look for if you are going to buy a camp or look for a camp, make sure it's up off the ground. Majority of these old places, they've sunken in the ground for, 20, 30, 40 years.
Make sure it's got a good roof.
It's got to start with the foundation and then the roof,
So it's like the fundamentals. So we're not talking about ornamental stuff. We're talking about fundamentals.
Yeah. The bones of it.
The bones.
Yeah. Right from.
Find yourself adding a lot more solar now that the technology's out. A lot of these camps don't have power.
We've done a few, but not many at all.
Now with the inverters and the small generators, you can have power that's very quiet and will charge your phones, give you lights. You know, you could potentially do a hot water tank. It all depends on what you're looking for.
Neat.
Gotcha. So if you can get to the bones and you've got a good solid foundation, and we're not talking foundations, right? Most of these things are on posts and piers and things like that. And what I've noticed a lot in your shows is that before you really even start anything, you're trying to get the cabin re-leveled. It seems like all of them are off center, and they're not balanced. You can roll a beer can from one side of the camp to the other.
Yes.
Just setting it down on the floor and without a push. So is the beginning of the process for every camp basically to get it re-leveled?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of times, I mean, you want to go through and demo your, like a lot of them are old barn board or like sheathing of some sorts. That camp's going to move a lot easier if you've taken out your windows or, you know, everything that you're getting rid of.
Strip it there.
Because that stuff locks it in place, you know.
The weight keeps it locked down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you start removing weight, then it might go back.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah. You know, and we've had times where we've been jacking camps, you know, we're all 6 of us underneath the camp with 20-ton bottle jacks, and the camps move so much you hear a window pop up on the second floor. You know, you're laying on the ground hoping your feet aren't stuck out from underneath the camp, and when the pane of glass comes down.
That's a good point, right? I mean, that glass breaking and coming down got your leg wide open.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of these places they were built on the weekends by families or grandfathers and sons and
that were drinking
relatives and you know, weekend projects or pieced together here and there. So if a wall was out of square when they replaced a window 10, 15 years later, the window goes in square. Now it's in a crooked wall. So when you straighten that wall out, now your window's crooked. So that's stuff you want to deal with.
Bare bone. Strip it down and then jack it.
Okay.
Get it to the skeleton as best as possible.
That makes a lot of sense. I didn't really notice that, but yeah, it seems like you do strip it down, do your demo, and then that lightens the load. And I didn't know why, but now you just explained it. So it lightens the load. Now you can jack it a little easier.
Yes.
And you're not worried about things like glass breaking, and then you can reconstruct once it's level.
Yep.
That's interesting. So, and a lot of times these posts, and one of the machines on the show, it's a fascinating piece of technology, is the new post digger, right? The metal post that goes below the frost line. That thing must save hours, just hours and hours of having to. Yeah.
It's great to set building upon that. A lot of times we're within shoreland zoning, so we cannot do permanent foundations. So that is a good way for us to be able to go in and jack and put on decent foundation is those techno posts.
Yeah. And that's a metal, techno metal post. Good friends of ours, Mike Brochu, and he's a huge hunter. His whole family.
Is he? All right. I'm taking notes here, and who's going to be the next guest?
Mike Brochu, techno metal post.
Yeah. All right.
And I mean, like,
they tip over some big deer and catch some big fish every year.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, those posts are just amazing. You know, with the frost that we get here in the state, frost is one of the main killers. You know, the frost heaving moves a lot of these camps over time, and then you know, rocks get pushed up through the frost, and then springtime they settle back down, and camps move a lot. But these techno metal posts, they've got a sleeve around it, a frost sleeve, so they stay where it's at.
It's the way better than concrete or pucks or sonotubes or anything. It's just a good new technology for these camps.
How far down do you have to get in Maine to get below the frost line?
4 feet.
4 feet.
Okay.
This year, not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every year is different, right?
Yes,
the winters.
Code-wise, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure with the code, but I know that.
Yeah, I'm not worried about code. Just
everything wants to get below the frost. So 4 feet.
4 feet. Okay. And those posts, they hold a lot of weight. What are they? What's the material that they're made of?
Galvanized Schedule 40 pipe with a auger on the end of it, and sometimes they're either 3 or 2 inch.
The 3 or the 4 inch.
3 or the 4 inch.
So it's almost like your ice auger. There's a auger blade or a bit at the bottom of this post that gets pinned in, and it drives. I mean, it drives through anything, and like if they hit rocks or anything, obviously you're not going to put them through ledge. You know,
right.
You know,
and they'll drill and pin if it's in ledge.
If they find ledge, they'll drill out a different mechanism and post on. But
wow,
boy, the weight limit is
we've set some pretty big camps on that stuff.
If you watch the Travis Mills episode for the Wounded Warriors,
yep, we set some a big deck on that.
A lot of
huge deck. Yeah, I remember that one.
It was 69.
Yeah, there was like 70
posts,
65 or 70 of those posts, and they came in there in maybe 5 or 6 hours
and set them all.
That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Can you imagine having to redo that the old way?
Good digging.
Yeah. And the top plates, there's a top plate on it that's also adjustable. So, like, if by chance a corner does sink or a section does sink,
you can
jack it up just a little bit, and you just twist that top, and it
really
tightens right up on its own. Yeah.
Yeah, what a great idea that is. It saves you time, has a super heavy weight load and gets you below the frost line, unlike old conventional styles.
Setting them on rocks or whatever they had back in the day, or old stumps,
field stones, and
field stones are no match for frost. I mean, frost is just it's like water. Water is an incredible mover of all things.
Absolutely.
So in Maine frost, I mean, I know we're not in the deepest, coldest climate in the country. Maybe Wisconsin, or North Dakota, they might beat us out. But Maine's known for being pretty darn cold.
It's cold,
right? And winter comes early and leaves late.
And it's a different kind of cold.
It is.
New Hampshire as well. It's wet. It's a wet, raw, frozen cold.
Like today is,
raw.
We had 50 degrees a couple of days ago, but now it's down. We have wind chills minus 20. And it's mid-March. So that's where frost comes from, right? This is the freezing and the thawing, and the freezing and the thawing,
and
the mud, right? So we go from frost season to mud season.
There's basically 5 seasons.
Yeah, we went frost to mud, back to frost. Now we're frozen.
Now we're frozen. So
happened 3 or 4 times already up here.
It's kind of you have to be a hardy individual to live in Maine. Let's put it that way.
You have to redo
cabin
in the winter.
Yeah. And you got to have plenty of activities, especially the winter activities. Summer's easy to deal with, but wintertime, you got to have something to do.
I did enjoy your video that you made of your snowmobile trip on that Relive app. I did see that. That was very cool.
Yeah.
You're on the snowmobile for quite a while, and that's how you pass time in the winter in Maine.
Yep.
You use the elements, turn them into a playground, and if you can do that, you start to enjoy winter more.
That's right.
And we're all 5 of us, we're all winter enthusiasts for the most part. Like it's snowboarding or skiing or
ice fishing,
and I'm playing pond hockey any chance I can get. And we're Dixie and I are big snowmobilers. But
very cool.
You got to find stuff to do, or else you're going to
absolutely.
You're going to watch a lot of TV.
Which, quite frankly, and I love your show, no offense, but watching too much TV is just insanely boring to me.
I've barely had cable in 12 years.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Haven't missed it, have you?
No. I can go to the bar to watch my Pats play.
There you go. That's it.
My Bruins.
Right. What now that Tom Brady's playing in Tampa? Now what?
Watching Tampa play.
Exactly.
Tom and Gronk.
I'll watch those boys play any day of the week.
Right. Yep. I'm with you. So now that you're looking at some of this new technology, that kind of fixes the frost problem, but you've got lots of camps where you don't put in new posts or a new metal post with the new technology, because it's just not applicable. You can't get too far underneath the camp with if you're going to use some of the old flooring and subflooring and that kind of stuff. How often do camps start to shift? So you've gone in, you fixed the whole camp, it's all set, it's level. When does the unleveling return? Is it just a matter of how bad the frost seasons are, or is it, can you kind of time it?
Yeah, it is. It's the frost and it's the landscape. And, some of these places have trees that are monstrous grown right beside them. And there's roots this big around that are moving the camp. You can't stop that tree from growing unless you cut it down. A lot, you see a lot of times where tree roots will move a camp.
Yeah.
Once we jack and level a camp, I would say every few years you should go through and just readjust or recheck or shim.
Just run a string.
Yeah, run a string, run a level. It's unless you're on a techno post or a permanent foundation, it's something that you're going to have to chase for the longevity of the camp.
Gotcha. But okay, so what's that, Wayne?
Nobody does it.
Nobody. No, that's why they call us.
That's why they call you.
Right.
20 years now. Hey, remember that camp you fixed 20 years ago?
Nobody wants to go to camp and do any work.
If you don't mind, I got a little line of questioning because being on Northwood's Law, the film crew and it was so much more. And what the priority is the priority fixing the camp or the priority of the film crew? Because ours, we still do our job. The film crew follows us around, but we did all these, camera shoots after, explain exactly what we did, which to me was maddening. And I'm glad I didn't do it a whole lot because it was, every little thing you do, you have to explain to that camera. And then we're talking hours of explanation, and what makes the TV is minutes, seconds. So you guys, I'm assuming, are going through the same thing. And what's the priority? Fixing the camp or making the TV show?
Gotta give them content.
For us, it is a balance. Yeah. But making the camp way it should be and making the camps proper is our number one priority. It has since we started. But we also know the cameras are there for
content. They want to, there's no show unless they got film. So
and there's got to be something interesting going on all the time.
Something interesting.
Yeah.
Wayne, that's got to equate to like the wardens doing their job, right? Absolutely. They want to catch the film crew, but want to get some good tape, but you don't want to take away from doing your job as the warden. That's priority number one.
Exactly. And I remember the first few weeks of them following you around. It's really strange, but then you get used to it. And it's almost common that you don't even think about it anymore. You're checking people and they're reacting to the film crew behind you, but all of a sudden, you're so used to it now. And you guys must have the same thing. You're doing your job. They're pulling you out. Hey, we need to talk about this. Hey, we need to talk about that. Hey, and it slows down the process. A little bit. And, as much as we did our 8 hours, but I'll tell you what, we did an extra 2 or 3 hours just talking about what we did in our 8 hours. So, and I'm sure it's got to be the same. And you guys get used to it.
I'm sure it's similar, but I'm sure yours was a lot more like
in the moment.
In the moment,
right?
Like you guys had to, really worry about them and what was ahead of you coming up. We'll stand around and drink a cup of coffee and talk about the next scene. I'm sure you guys, scenes just happened at some points,
Yeah, no doubt. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, it's a little get used to though, isn't it?
It was in the beginning. It definitely was. Took a while to get used to. We got good at building something and being able to take it apart and build it again 3 or 4 times. But it's a good relationship between the film crew and us, and we've been working with them for what, 5 to 6 years now. So we've got it down pretty good where we can set things up kind of. We'll set up like a build where they can see it from start to finish, and we can stand a wall per se or put a window in, and they can get kind of their content or what they need for film footage.
Yeah, there's a lot of effort that goes into one build. There's a lot of filming on. There's a lot of time frame there. I mean, every time I see the intros, it's 6 to 8 weeks out, sometimes up to 12. I mean, and every time you're there, the film crew's there with you, right? I mean, there's a lot of time.
Yeah, there's.
So they'll film for like 2 or 3 weeks off and on or full, and then they'll leave for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then we'll actually get some work done when they're not there. We'll refocus and yeah, get work done, and then
Susan.
There she is.
Come on.
You strap on the GoPro during those times, so to give them some live footage.
Yeah, we do what they call diary cams. They leave us with GoPros, and we definitely will do daily cams or time lapse or whatever.
Dixie knows how to do a time lapse
on
a GoPro.
You
Look
do.
at that.
Excellent.
Isn't that great?
I can't do anything with computers or iPhones, but I can do a GoPro.
You've mastered the time lapse. Nice.
I can load a gun real quick.
Yeah, it's all on memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, muscle memory.
That's funny. Is there a time when you look at a camp and I'm assuming that you probably get a lot of phone calls and say, hey, can you come take a look at my camp? Are there moments when you say, no, we're not doing this one?
Well, for the show, like, yeah, it's kind of, what
scope of work,
the scope of work. And if the budget's reasonable, work wise, probably not. If the cameras weren't rolling, we'd look at a place and we'd dive right into it.
Yep. Do you have multiple projects going on at the same time, or is it all okay?
We have probably we got 3 camps going right now.
Yep, 3. When we first got going,
Susie.
Yeah, this is
Susie.
Turn around.
Right.
Really turn around. We got a big pine slab table right here in front of us. It's kind of tight quarters.
Gotcha.
Is that the one we saw in the episode? Ashley. Sweet. That was an awesome table.
Llewellyn setter.
Yep, she's a Llewellyn English setter. Actually got her from one of our camp owners, an episode up in the Forks. Mike Pillsbury and his wife Kim.
Yep.
He's a bird guide, fishing guide up in the Forks area, but
up in Carrot Dunk.
There's a breeder near me that does Llewellyns as well. So
she's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
So how fun is demo? Demo just looks real fun to me, and I've seen some spots where the walls come down and it's clearly down. It's on the ground. It's done falling. There's no more falling, and you guys are still beating on it. Like, it just looks like it's a good time.
It's there's no quality of work involved in demo.
Right.
I like to dismantle.
Yeah, it's dismantling. It's not.
Then there's demolition.
Okay.
You can dismantle some stuff, and then there's demolition. We do a lot of both.
Great action.
Seems like it's a good way to kind of get out some frustrations.
It is.
It's good stuff.
I love when you guys strap the GoPro to the piece of wood and then chuck it.
Oh, yeah. They do that all
every episode.
That's my favorite.
That was getting thrown into a dumpster.
So going back to like the camps themselves, after you've done the demo, you've jacked up and leveled the camp, the roof is the next thing that you look at to.
If it doesn't have a good roof, then yes, a roof would be definitely the next thing.
Okay.
Sometimes they have metal roofs already on them. Sometimes they've already had a roof done. But if that would definitely be the next thing to help preserve the overall longevity of the camp is a roof.
And I see sometimes you do the metal roof, sometimes you do the shingles. In general, metal roofs over shingles, or it doesn't really matter?
Jared likes the metal.
I'm a metal advocate.
Yep.
I mean,
I like my architectural shingles. It depends on the location,
right, and the style of the place as well,
and the style.
Or like if you've got a big porch and you've got a big pitch of a roof, you don't want snow falling off your metal roof, sliding, you know, heavy snowfall around your camp. You know, those metal roofs, they've got to be on the proper layout to, you know, to not damage, you know, snow buildup.
Architectural shingles, what are those?
It's a so they used to be 3 tabs back in the day. This is it's a asphalt shingle that's meant to look like cedar shingles.
Looks like it's the most common.
It's the most common asphalt shingle that you would see on houses.
Gotcha. All right.
Almost like raised. So you look at the roof.
They have different levels, right? Yeah. It looks like there's a bunch of cedar shakes on your roof.
Yeah.
But and you can get them in any color, any color, you know,
green, red, dual black, Harvard slate.
Actually, if you watch Lance's wedding episode again, you'll see probably every color variation.
Yes, I did see this.
Everything that was left over. I love
Anything that was left over.
Yeah,
perfect.
There was a word that they used, and I forgot what it was, but it describes multiple colors and patterns all as one. I don't know if it was like tortoise shell or something like that.
I couldn't even begin to tell you.
Yeah. Anyway, so you got the roof, got the foundation or the post, and everything's leveled. You went through demo. Then you guys use a lot of wood. I mean, there's a lot of wood being used on the interior, not like drywall. It seems like you typically go to some kind of a pine of some sort. Can you talk a little bit about the woods the different types of woods that you or lumber that you would use?
Yeah, you will never see us use sheetrock on any of our jobs, you know,
or sheet goods.
Sheet goods. We live in Maine, you know, one of the biggest producers of eastern white pine. You know, it's the availability of wood is right here. You know, it's
good.
I would rather have a 7/8 board for my outside sheathing than a piece of 1/2-inch OSB or, you know, zip board or whatever. You got, you know, it just is, gives it a lot more lateral rigidity. And when you're doing your siding, you're setting a nail into an inch board instead of a 1/2-inch board. So just.
And really, one of the biggest things with the shiplap, we use what they call like a super board. It's like a 12-inch wide shiplap board is what you'll see us use the most for decking, for roof sheathing, for wall sheathing. Most of these places we go into, the framing is all over the place. Might not be 16 on center, be 16 on every 3 feet, and then there'll be another one maybe down the way that's sistered to another one, and so the framing is all over the place. It's really grab a 16-foot board or a 12-foot board or a 10-foot board and find where it fits best, as opposed to a 4x8 sheet where you're going to have to go reframe everything
and have waste
to make use of the 4x8 sheet of plywood.
Right. That makes sense. So sometimes you're fairly remote in some of these locations, it seems like, which may not have any electricity. So one of the things I was just kind of curious about, they don't really talk about it on the show. How do you keep your tools and equipment charged all day if you're using electrical devices? Do you bring in generators, things like that to make that happen?
We have a couple 3,000-watt Honda inverters.
Yep.
And we run, I know the Makita but we run the DeWalt FlexVolt system, 60 volt max. Like, they're awesome. You know,
chop saws we can run on batteries, table saws we can run on batteries. So a lot of our tools are operated on batteries.
Gotcha. So it makes that remote repair
much easier
to do.
Yeah. And really everybody that works with us, because we have a bunch of good guys and girls that work ahead of us and behind us.
Yeah.
They're all, you know, equipped with their hand tools and stuff they need. So it works out. Somebody's always got fresh batteries, or someone's always got the proper tool we need.
Right.
Gotcha. All right. I got one more question for you about the show. Then we got to talk about deer hunting.
Okay.
My wife wants to know, where does Chase get his shirts designed, his T-shirts? It's some like free tires.
So there's one of the companies Back Roads, I think is the name of it. Back Roads, and I could probably find one because we're in amongst all our merchandise right now.
Yeah,
we got boxes all around us and T-shirts and stuff everywhere. But yeah, I think it's called Back Roads Embroidery. Maybe.
Gotcha. All right, so it's just some of the funniest sayings.
He loves it.
Yeah. And I've also noticed that you guys got some Letterkenny references that Jason
we love
Letterkenny, man. I've watched every one of those too. It's just
I had as many bucks in my wallet as I did on the wall. I have $6.
Pitter patter, right? Pitter patter.
You have anything to do a cross episode with those guys?
I know that's just some brilliant writing there. Just I think Jason had a shirt that said pitter patter, and I'm like, my wife says, "What does that say?" So that says pitter patter. That's a Letterkenny reference. I know that anywhere.
Yeah, and actually, Chase, they were supposed to be in Portland, like the week of like COVID lockdown or something. A couple weeks later, and Chase had tickets to it, and obviously everything got canceled.
Yeah. I hope they do bring that show around, because I will definitely go to that.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to challenge him to a men's league hockey game.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah.
I want to play Letterkenny.
Yeah, I'll be the water boy.
Didn't he play like semi-pro or something like that?
Yeah.
A couple of them did, didn't they?
Yeah. There's a huge hockey reference, which is right up your alley, Jedi. It was just perfect. So.
And I grew up on a farm too, so it's like I see the farmer's side of it.
Yeah.
I grew up on a 100-acre cattle farm, and then I knew the hockey side of it. So I was right there in the middle,
That's awesome. So let's talk about some deer hunting. So let's
talk about deer hunting.
Where does your passion, your education about deer hunting, where does all that start? I know you're from Maine. I know you have a lot of Maine roots, and that's kind of common, but somebody's got to kind of get you into it. Where did that all start?
Was my grandfather and
father, my whole family.
Yeah.
All my relatives.
Gotcha. And as far as like just styles of deer hunting, I mean, I always associate Maine with trackers of Maine, right?
I can't sit.
You can't sit.
I can't sit. I have to track.
Okay. And how did you learn to track? I mean, I've talked to Hal Blood, as I had mentioned, but
just doesn't sit.
It's not. Yeah, you can go wander around the woods if you want, but I've
got my family has 40 acres in Sydney, so it's a pretty easy piece of property to track around. You know what I mean? To work a piece. Mm-hmm. So that's where I've had my success.
Okay.
I haven't. I hunted my whole life. I really didn't started. I'm a big upland game hunter. I love partridge, rough grouse. It's my favorite. I didn't really start chasing whitetail till my 30s. But don't get me wrong. I always hunted them when I was a kid, but I never shot one until I was 30. I don't think.
Right.
I might have hunted whitetail with pots and pans before I was old enough to hold.
Don't tell him that.
I'm not,
along with your mother and your grandmother and everybody else, right?
No, and it's definitely a different era, different time. But that it literally was. I mean, there'd be groups of people everywhere that would just kind of not necessarily go harvest a piece, but everybody in the small town I lived in. I mean.
Yeah, the whole family walked through the piece.
It was filling the freezer.
Right.
That legitimately filling the freezer.
Right.
But
are you a tracker now, Jedi?
I do both.
Okay.
I'll sit for a piece, and I'm fortunate to have my father's to be out and hunt at. But yeah, I like walking through, trying to follow, trying to find.
Okay.
Like Dixie stated earlier, it's just being out there.
It's just getting out there.
I'll get out, early in the morning. I'll sit there for the first 2 hours, 3 hours, and then spend the rest of the morning into the early afternoon just trying to walk a piece and find out where they're at, where they're moving, and look for any sign possible, you know.
Okay.
Have one blow at you is the coolest thing.
It is. It is.
To have one blow at you, you're like, oh, I know they're here somewhere.
Yeah. Your hair stand right up on the back of your neck.
Oh yeah, it's like, what is that?
I wish deer would make sounds like elk, so you could hunt them like turkeys in a sense. But
the big bugle, you hear those guys.
Yeah, you know they're coming.
And
as far as like just the conditions, terrain, you're all hunting the hills of Maine, or is there? I don't even know if there is a flat land of Maine. I'm not sure.
Field, swamps, a lot of hilly terrain.
Okay.
You know, my family, my father was a huge duck hunter as well. Growing up, we'd take the Skull Boat down the Eastern River, and on the way to the duck blind at open and light, we'd have the slugs in the 12 gauge, and we'd shoot deer out of the Skull Boat. You know, just down at the riverbank first thing in the morning. You know, load them in the boat and duck hunt for an hour or two and head back. But yeah, it's
a boat full of duck and a boat full of venison, and it's a good day.
Sounds like a great day.
Great day.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you're gutting and rinsing your deer right there in the river, and feeding the fish at the same time, and
Is it all gun hunting, or do you do any bow hunting?
I'm all gun, because I go right from upland right into deer season. So,
all rifle gun hunting.
Rifle.
And
Okay.
there is bow hunting and crossbow hunting in the state. We have expanded zones and whatnot, but I'll run bird season right to the bitter end.
Yeah, and with dogs.
I've got 2 labs that I typically use, or I go out. My buddy's got a Weimaraner. It doesn't matter.
Right. It's fun to interact with dogs, though. I mean,
it's fun to interact.
Right.
It's fun watching the dog do what they're bred to do.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's if you couldn't hunt, if you tried to bird hunt without a dog, it's not nearly as entertaining. It's not as successful. There's just so much in it, right?
What do you got?
Chase Chase, come say hi.
Chase.
Hi,
Jay and Wayne.
Hey, Chase. Hey, how are you?
Good. Howdy.
What do you got here?
Oh, new sweatshirt.
New sweatshirts. Nice.
Sweet.
Okay,
Excellent. Could you guys think back to maybe a deer hunt that you were on that kind of sticks out in your head, that may stick out more than some of the other ones, and maybe kind of take us on a little journey, explain how it all went down?
It was probably 5 years ago. I had bought my niece and nephews a firearm for them, New England Firearms 243, single shot with a true dot scope. And I had just brought it out in the woods one morning out behind the house, just on a quick walk. And I ended up shooting an 8-pointer, and I chased it for 2 miles before I finally, dispatched it. So
Gotcha.
that sticks out pretty good.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I like the ones that make you earn it.
They are resilient animals.
It's unbelievable.
I had to have shot him 3 times, and he just kept going.
Did you have a little snow to help you to track him?
No, it was 65 degrees.
My goodness.
And when I got him, the guy that helped me finally pull him out of the woods was like, I don't know what you're doing with this deer, but I'd get him to a freezer.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Good hunt. That's a long
It was
deer.
I didn't want to, I was all worried about the blowflies and the cluster flies, and it was nerve-wracking to get it out of the woods. I didn't want the animal sacrifice itself for me, so I didn't want it to go bad. So
right. It's an odd thing to say, and especially during deer season at 65 degrees, right? Especially in Maine. It was like, what the heck?
Warm.
Right.
A lot of times I won't hunt on days like that. It's just you take too much of a risk, like he says, and then if something does go awry, and great, now I've wasted a deer or something's gone, you know.
Sure, right.
Try not to.
Yeah. How about a deer story for you, Jedi?
Oh boy, it might seem like a bit of a fishtail, but I was
16 kids in that cabin, was it?
Yeah. Anyways, I was out to my father's property and got a big hayfield out there, and I was back in the woods up in my deer stand, and it was early afternoon, 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon maybe. And all of a sudden, I could see the field, but I didn't have any shooting lanes over in the field. I was watching the piece of woods, and all of a sudden, this 6-pointer came running right by me, and I kind of froze. He didn't even stop. He just kept motoring right by me. And I watched him run up behind me, and then he dove off into the field. So I jumped right down out of the tree stand and kind of figured, I could get around him windwise and come at him from a different view, and just catch him standing somewhere. He didn't know I was there. He just happened to be motoring along. I don't know, probably chasing a doe. I don't know. But saw him dancing in the field. He was just playing. He was out there playing in the field all by himself. And I stepped out on the stone wall and I looked, and all of a sudden he was just gone. Couldn't find, I didn't see him anywhere. I hadn't got a shot. I didn't even pull up on him, and then took probably 10 steps out into the field, and that guy came barreling kind of straight at me, probably 100, 200 yards away, just straight at me. Didn't even know he was coming at me. And then all of a sudden he just took a hard left and was going all the way across the field. I had an old Winchester 30-30 and up one shot, got him square in the neck. He was at a dead sprint, and I might have been in a dead sprint because I was trying to cut him off. I was sprinting across the field this way, and he was going this way, and I was trying to make headway, and I just pulled out and shot, and down he went. And
nice. Do you spend a lot of time scouting at all, or do you just kind of go from your duck season into the next season and look for the sign that's fresh?
I'm pretty spoiled out behind my house because I've got, between 50 and 100 acres. I know where they are. I mean, just because of their pattern. So I don't have to scout too much. Up north, if you're going to go up north, you got to scout. Yeah. There's such a big woods.
Yeah. It's hard, especially nowadays where we're working so much. It's really hard to get out there and scout.
Yeah. And I've always said that, there's a good spot is a good spot. If you know it, it's hard to ignore it,
You got to know the area around it.
Right.
It's not always in that same tree stand.
Yeah, it's just what's out there too. Is there bucks there? Is there more does? Is there, it's just what's in the herd.
Right. Yeah.
And I actually, this is awful, but we've got Jen standing behind us saying she needs a computer in 5.
Okay.
I think for our live broadcast.
Yeah, we got another podcast.
Oh, using Jen's computer. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
I hate to
all right. Well, let me just run through some.
Because I talk about hunting all day long.
We can. Maybe we'll do a part 2 and we'll talk more about deer hunting. Let me just run down some quick rapid fire questions here, and we'll get you off to your next episode or your next show here. What's your number 1 hunting tip of all time?
Know your surroundings.
Know your surroundings, and when you're carrying a gun, always make sure that you carry it like it's always loaded, whether it's loaded or not.
That's awesome. That's a great tip.
Gun safety is my big thing.
Yeah, that should be always the number 1 thing, right? Safety. You go into the woods and you forget something at home, and it drives you crazy if you don't have it. Most people have this one thing. What's that one thing for you?
That's
a knife.
Knife.
Well,
yeah.
Obviously a knife's a number 1, but I don't carry much.
That's kind of what I see in Maine and in the tractors. They're minimalists, right? Very minimal. A knife, a gun, go.
Yeah. We told them.
All right. What's your biggest pet peeve in life?
Mine's it is what it is. can't stand it when I hear people say that. It's what you make it.
All the time.
What you make it.
But you already know that, Jedi. That's why.
Yeah.
That's funny. I'll skip ahead here just a little bit. What's a typical day in your life look like?
Depends on the day of the week.
Depends on the day.
All right.
Yeah.
But
right now, work, it's building, it's
Okay.
filming and working.
Yep. And then what's a typical deer hunting day in your life look like?
Morning.
Good early breakfast.
Okay.
Out till about 11. Nap it out maybe till about 2.
Yeah.
Hit the fields in the afternoon.
Hit the fields in the afternoon.
Yeah. Very nice. Well, gentlemen, I got to say it's been an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show. I've really enjoyed talking to you. I enjoy what you're doing with the show you're doing on television. I have probably another 3 seasons still to watch, so I've got plenty to go. I know Wayne's out of episodes, so you got to get back out there.
Get making them.
Start making them. And Wayne does have a cabin in New Hampshire. If you ever want to cross the line, it's just over the line, so you can tell everybody it's still in Maine.
Like I said, I'll move
Maine.
the Maine state line, so we can make sure you can film it on Maine, so
we can come down without the cameras.
Yeah, that's true.
There you go.
Perfect.
There you go.
Perfect.
Hey, it was a pleasure. Thanks for letting me join, James.
On a Sunday too. You can come down on a Sunday and hunt in New Hampshire.
Yeah. Sunday hunting. We'll see you on Sunday.
Yep. So if listeners want to find out more about you, your show, where to reach out to you, social media, where can they find you?
KennebecCabinCompany.com, MaineCabinMasters.com, Facebook,
Instagram.
So it's you can find a lot of stuff through the Maine Cabin Masters page, but a lot of it is through our new kind of endeavor is Kennebec Cabin Company.
All right, and you got a great tap room up there, right? Up in Manchester.
Yeah, the Woodshed podcast. Those, and then YouTube channels.
Very nice. Cool.
Yeah, we're trying to reach out there as best as possible.
Very good. Well, I'll be following in. Wayne, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Wayne.
Thank
you, gentlemen. Jay.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys. I'll be watching on the next
we'll
live
have to do one
thing
with
you're
Brock
doing.
Fluke at some point.
Yeah, tell Brock I said hi.
I will. That'd be a fun one to do together.
Absolutely. I just saw him on the snowmobile trail the other weekend. So
cool. Thanks, gentlemen.
Nice.
Thank you, guys.
I'll let you go and get on to your next venture here, but I'll be interacting with you on that too.
Sounds good.
We appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen.